This is the AM News with me, Sweetie Abochi. Let's get into the details. The national chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has declared that the party will not be signing any peace declaration as the country approaches the upcoming election. Speaking on PM Express Wednesday evening yesterday, he expressed skepticism about the effectiveness of such agreements, citing past experiences. He further criticized the focus on signing peace agreements after tensions have already escalated, urging authorities to address the root causes of potential violence before it spirals out of control.
Declaration don't mean anything to us.
A peace declaration? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean anything to you?
It doesn't mean anything to us because all previous declarations have not been adhered to, and those declarations have not solved any problem. If you allow violence to be brewed, you have violence, whether you sign declaration or not. And so that is why, for more than a year ago, I started talking about the need for us to remove the building blocks for violent elections. So at any stage, when something is happening, I call on those who in future will call us to sign declarations, to speak up so that we stop this particular thing from happening. Otherwise, if you allow all those things to build up, and you say that, let us go and play peace football match, let us sign declaration, let us do this with the hope that we will get a peaceful election will not happen. Because we did all this in 2020. All this and more in 2020. Council of State, Peace Council, everybody was involved, signing declarations left, right, center. The 2020 election turned out to be the most violent elections in the whole of the Fourth Republic.
So this year, not
so
signing.
So it tells you that signing or no signing is not the issue.
And project lead for the See Something, Say Something campaign from the Ministry of National Security, Asiedu Nketia, has urged Ghanaians, especially those living closer to the borders, to devour information to the security agencies to help ward off extremists and their elements from the country. She noted that security is a shared responsibility and urged the people to work to complement the efforts of the government to maintain the peace in the country. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Winchiao.
According to the team lead of the campaign for See Something, Say Something from the Ministry of National Security, Asiedu Nketia, the latest visit embarked to the 5 northern regions is part of a mop-up exercise aimed at sensitizing the public on the need to be security conscious and report suspicious activities if they see any. It is a sequel to the campaign held between February and May this year.
Is, on the back of happenings in the sub-region, particularly countries that we share borders with, i.e. Togo, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire. As a result of these happenings in these countries, we have an influx of, people coming in to seek refuge. We can look at some of these people and determine their motive, in as much as we will have genuine people coming to seek refuge. The thinking is that we may have some bad guys join the bandwagon to come in, and if care is not taken, they might identify our vulnerabilities and take advantage of same and probably strike at our blind side.
The team made visits to several communities in the Upper West region. In the West district, they took the campaign to Ponyentanga Kongulumu, Meteo and Wochao, where they sensitize and educate the people on the need to be vigilant and report suspicious characters in their midst to the appropriate security agencies. The first phase of the project has struck remarkable success and urged the people to volunteer information in order to ward off extremists and their elements from the country.
As we all know, you usually will not find national security staff members in the open engaging. Operations are such that it's usually covert. But because of how crime, as far as terrorist activities, have evolved over time, there has been the need for us to also, change our ways. Reason now we come into the communities to engage with the people, for them to know that security is a shared responsibility. Whilst government is doing its bit, the traditional way of security that we all know, we as citizens also have a role to play.
The residents of the three communities, whilst commending the national security for the sensitization, they have some concerns.
The program tells us how we should be each other's keeper. The program tells us at what time we should report, we should call the 99. The program tells us to always and always be watchful for those people who come, strangers, people may come to the community and be hovering around. There could be spies. So when we see any strange thing going on, we should report that to the appropriate agencies.
So then they to come at the right time. You won't see them. By the time they will freeze everything and move away, they see them coming. Then if I have the information, call you, within some 2-3 minutes we used to come and solve the case, and I call you will not come. You will be there till whatever they have been doing, they have say before you then come.
Our Forestry Security Liaison Officer, Ben Suri, has this response.
They have to mobilize and come. They can also just come with empty hands. They have to mobilize and come. You get the point? The armed robbers will not spare the police themselves. So before, they must adequately prepare and come. You see? And also remember that these armed robbers is always a snap operation. They know that you place calls. And so they do it very quickly. Before they get here, they have disappeared. So if because of that you will not volunteer information, I don't think it will help all of us.
Reporting for Dway News, Rafik Salam, Wachao.
From Winchell, let's do some NCC stories. And the National Commission for Civic Education has urged the media to protect the country's democracy by preventing the spread of hate speech and misinformation as the December 7 polls approach. Now, speaking at the inaugural Civic Festival, Chairperson Kathleen Adi expressed concern that some media outlets are promoting misinformation which could create tensions and lead to chaos. She believes educating the country's youth on their civic duties is rather the way to go. There's more in this report.
As the 2024 elections near, public awareness about combating misinformation is crucial. The National Commission for Civic Education and the European Union have teamed up to empower young voters in combating the menace. At the launch of the Youth in Democracy initiative, Chairperson of the Commission, Kathleen Adi, stressed the need to avoid spreading false information, which could incite chaos.
The thing with misinformation and fake news and all of those things is that it starts and stops with us. It starts and stops with us. When something falls in your inbox or you see something on your timeline that you know is probably false, that you can see is deliberately put there to cause chaos, to cause people to be angry, to incite others to violence and misbehavior. When you see those things, let it end with you. Don't also go ahead and forward it. If all of us commit to that action alone, the misinformation and fake news problem will go down significantly. She
also noted that reintroducing inter-party committees will help resolve political misunderstandings at the district level before they escalate.
We have activated our inter-party dialogue committees. These committees are committees that have representation from the political parties, from the faith-based institutions, traditional authorities, they have the security personnel amongst them. And basically what they do at the district level, at the lowest level of governance, which is districts, is to ensure that whatever political misunderstandings that arise in that district, that committee will sit and try and resolve the problem before it escalates and becomes a major problem where we now have to expend state resources to calm some fire. So we have activated those. We have held several dialogues, public dialogues, around the thematic areas that I referred to earlier. We are also, as you can see, doing activities with young people. We are engaging the political party youth activists. We are engaging in-school youth.
Students from the Accra Girls Senior High School emphasized the need for the government to increase public awareness about religious intolerance and negative election practices to ensure a peaceful election.
I think we should use adequate public awareness tools that will educate the public on the importance of sustaining good electoral system and procedures. So we educate people to take to heart Ghana and then be together, be honest to each other, and then just make sure that we watch toward the betterness of Ghana and then ensure that there's no violence.
So we as citizens, we should stand firm. We should be assertive. I mean, we should be able to say no to such an occasion or event. I mean, if we know that we are patriotic or democratic, when they are bringing us the money, when they are offering the money, we should be able to say no. They're supposed to be democratic. So we wouldn't take this money. We would vote for whoever deserves it.
The basic thing that the government should do is public education. There is public education, but the government should intensify public education, more especially with the youth. The government should sensitize them enough that they should value peace over religious sentiments.
Stakeholders are urging political actors to desist from spreading misinformation in order to maintain the peace of the country. Stephen Mentor's report, read to you.
A group called the Northern Regional Chapter of the United Voices for Change has expressed disappointment at President Akufo-Addo following revelations by the Fourth Estate that the president cut salt for the Damongo, Yendi and Tamale water project without security funding for these projects. The group said a documentary aired by the Fourth Estate said there was no funds for the water project, even though the president had announced work will begin on the 3 projects. Addressing a press conference in Tamale, the group condemned the president for wasting state resources to cut salt for the project he knew was not real.
The press conference was to highlight what the group described as the falsehood and the waste of state resources exhibited by the president at the salt cutting of these projects. Speaking at a press conference in Tamale, Secretary of the group, Professor Sylvester Ronald Entry, called on the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, to publicly apologize to the overlords of Dagbon and Yagbon and their people for what he described as deception.
So this 3 water supply project amounted to $302 million, which today, if I want to be charitable to Mr. President, by using 10 cedi to convert $302 million, it means Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo have taken over 3 billion Ghana cedis in the name of the people of Northern Region and Savannah Region to solve your water issue. 3 billion. Where is the money? The chiefs and people of Northern Region and Savannah Region willingly released lands. Here, let me speak my language. Released lands and provided all the necessary support needed for the smooth start and completion of this project. This is why we find it totally shocking and more than embarrassing and utterly disappointing that the Fourth Estate is now reporting that the government has not secured any funding for any of the projects. In the documentary, the managing director of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Dr. Clifford Brimer, admitted the government has secured no funding for the project during the time of the Bahat salt cutting by Mr. President. In fact, according to him, the government was yet to secure funds. The government was yet to secure funds for the project. 4 years on, he attempted to blame the DDEP, the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, which started in 2023. Our 74-year-old aged king or president knew very well that there wasn't even 1 cedi ready for the project. You have scammed the people of Northern and Savannah Region. Nana, you have scammed the good people of Tamale. Ultimately, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has us to publicly apologize unreservedly to the Dagonria, to the other chiefs, to the people of Tamale, to the people of Yendi, to the people of Damango, and to the entire country for forgiveness from the good people of Tamale. We want to urge all politicians to be truthful. We don't want a repetition of what we have suffered under this administration.
In other stories, Land and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Jinapor has dismissed allegations of state capture by government officials and described same as misinformation. The minister has also outlined measures being instituted by government to protect public lands. He said this when he took his turn at the Meet the Press session on Wednesday morning.
Today, unlike most of our compatriots on the continent, lands in our country are largely owned by these tools, kings, clans, and families. Over the years, however, governments have acquired some of these lands either by purchase, lease, gift, compulsory acquisition, vesting, or through some other modes. These are the lands referred to as the public lands of Ghana, which government has direct control over. Just as governments have been acquiring lands since the inception of our republic, every government, without exception, has granted some of these public lands to private entities for various developmental purposes. Unfortunately, some people have packaged some of these lands, which were granted to private developers decades ago, and presented them as evidence of what they have termed, quote, state capture, end quote. The ministry has had to issue press statements to correct some of these misinformations.
Contrary to claims by critics about the sale of parts of the Achimota forest, Samuel Jinapor says his ministry has rather intervened to protect the forest.
We set up a team. We went into negotiations with Achimota forest because we were concerned about the ecological integrity of the forest, and we wanted a buffer. We wanted a buffer between what the Achimota forest, the old family will have, and what will now constitute today's Achimota forest. And we were able to negotiate a reduction of 100 acres out of the 362 acres which had been cast in iron by previous governments. And the current administration had been bound legally by previous governments for the release of 362 acres of the Achimota forest.
The Forestry Commission has called on individuals engaged in illegal activities within forest reserves to cease immediately, as a rapid response team has been deployed to clear these areas of all illegalities. The Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, John Alote, says the Commission is reviewing its reforestation plan to ensure a comprehensive reforestation and reclamation plan. Speaking at a meeting preceding the signing of an MOU with Asante Gold Chirano Mines, John Alote indicated that the Commission is working hard to ensure environmental impacts are mitigated and afforestation efforts are enhanced. There's more in this report.
According to the Forestry Commission, a rapid response team has been deployed in the forest reserves across the country to ward off all those operating illegally in them. Speaking at the meeting with the Asante Gold Chirano Mines, CEO of the Forestry Commission, John Alote, encouraged mining companies to design an afforestation and reclamation plan to restore the forest. He also called on the companies to engage more of the youth in the operations by supporting them.
The expectation is that they would be reforesting 3 times what they impact on. So the reforestation plan is being developed with a joint team from the Forestry Commission and then the Asante Gold Chirano. We also pray that the district assemblies in that area will be involved in these activities to make sure that any potential impact is reduced and also we carry out this reforestation as also a means of providing alternate livelihood for the people who are in that area. Unfortunately, we have key paramount chiefs in that area, and I'm sure the engagements have been very fruitful. What the Forestry Commission is calling for is that those who are working illegally in the forest reserves in terms of mining should cease. We have our rapid response team going around to make sure the forest is cleared of all these illegalities. We are also encouraging them to engage more of the youth. Some of them can be engaged and trained to be able to support the enterprise in which they are. That is the only way we will be, improving upon the economies in the areas that they operate.
General Manager of the Asante Gold Chirano Mine, Stephen Asante Yeboah, laid out some of the interventions his outfit has rolled out and is still rolling out to support the youth in the area.
We are working on a document to strengthen this relationship we've had over the years so that we can improve on what we are doing. Currently, we employ about 2,200 people, and out of this, 55% of them are from the Safi area, and almost all of us are Ghanaians. And I'm proud to be a general manager of a mine which are made of Ghanaians. In fact, all the senior management are Ghanaians. We have some few expatriates who are helping us with some technical areas, especially underground drilling. But the vast majority of the workforce are Ghanaians, and I'm proud to say that 55% are from the Safi area. We have policies and programs in place to just make sure that we provide support and opportunity for the local communities in particular, and make sure that we impact greatly on the nation at large.
The two entities are hopeful that an MOU would be signed in their subsequent meeting to ensure that the environmental impacts in the forest are reduced.
Moving on, a not-for-profit, Kimathi Kwenyehia Grants for People with Disabilities has extended its support to 51 students with special needs at the University of Ghana. The event was geared towards the grant's ongoing mission to alleviate financial barriers for students with disabilities. Speaking to Joy News, a consultant from Kimathi and Partners, corporate attorneys Doji Koku Hato, emphasized the importance of prioritizing students with disabilities. Here's more.
Established in 2016, the Kimathi Kwenyehia Grant for People with Disabilities was initially designed to aid first-year students with visual impairments by easing the financial burden of educational materials. However, recognizing the broader needs of the disabled student community, the grant was later expanded to support all first-year students with disabilities. This inclusive approach ensures that these students can acquire essential educational resources without financial constraints, thereby equipping them to pursue their academic goals more effectively. Speaking to Joy News after the event, a consultant from Kimathi and Partners Corporate Attorneys, Doji Koku.
Initially, we started with only the visually impaired individuals, and now we have expanded it to persons with disabilities. So we are gradually enrolling the whole process, and as time goes on, we review it and see how best we could expand it to other universities. Yeah. The firm believes that we want to know people by their name and their abilities, not their disabilities. So it's a main reason why we partner with the University of Ghana to help these persons, as I say, with names, that they are capable in doing so many things. We just they need that support that we are there to give. So maybe we want to encourage everyone listening to us to come and support.
Doji Koku Hato stressed the need to prioritize students with disabilities. University of Ghana's Dean of Student Affairs and Acting Coordinator of University of Ghana Center for Disability.
We appreciate Kimathi for the help they are giving our disabled students, and we appeal to the general public to help in whatever way they can, in cash, in kind, if they need to. We have one vehicle. If a company wants to donate another vehicle to us, because that one vehicle serves all the visually impaired and the physically, there are some who have to be aided. And so we have a vehicle that transports them from the hall to the lecture theaters and back. And so if we have companies that are willing to donate vehicles to us, we'll be very happy. Buses, for instance, wheelchairs, white sticks, and all that, yes.
For stories in our business update segment, government has been challenged to do more in reducing food and non-food inflation, despite a decrease in the overall inflation rate for the month of July to 20.9%. According to economist Professor Patrick Asumin, although the sharp drop is welcoming, there is still more that needs to be done to stimulate private sector growth. His comments follows the decrease in food inflation, non-food inflation, and imported items, pushing the overall inflation for the month of July to drop sharply to 20.9%.
So when you look at the more disaggregated numbers, you begin to see housing, utilities, the prices have inched up a little bit. And then the fact that inflation of domestically produced items are still higher. All of those hints at rising cost of production. And in spite of the fact that we say food prices, there's been a much bigger reduction in food inflation, there are some big ticket items that I've seen actually, whose prices are still quite high. In fact, if you look at items like cereals and cereal products, if you look at items like vegetables, plantain, these are big staples. Even though they saw some reduction, you see, some of our staples are still having inflation rate of around over 41%. This is quite high. So you hope that as we're entering the harvesting season, things will calm down a little bit. But overall, there's clear, there's a hint that domestic cost of production is rising. You see inflation on transport, even though it's reduced marginally, it's still way higher than where we were 4 months ago or so. So those are still areas that demands a lot of attention.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has been giving details on amount of money printed in 2022 and 2023. It is coming on the back of reports that more than 70 billion Ghana cedis was pumped into the economy, resulting in inflation hitting those levels. But speaking at the Parliament Accounts Committee, the First Deputy Governor, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afare, first sought to clarify what influenced the printing and the amounts they had put out.
Central Bank has a model that we use in determining how much money is printed at any point in time. And the model looks at key ingredients. One of them is the nominal GDP growth for the year. Another one is the cocoa purchase forecast that has been made for the year, because the cocoa is bought mainly with cash. And then other factors come in. And those factors go in, and then we also have a clean note policy. So the existing notes that are in the system, those that do not meet the clean note policy do not come back into the system. And I think at a point I was here some time back, and I invited the committee to see our currency processing system to understand the cleanliness and the importance of the currency processing system. So if they do not come back into the system, combining that with the forecast determines how much new money should come into the system to ensure that we meet the degree of exchangeability that's required for us to be able to transact business in the country. And that determines how much money is printed at any point in time. 688 million Ghana cedis, and in 2022 was what? 336, yes. 336 million Ghana cedis in 2022 and 688 million Ghana cedis in 2023.
Let's go for our currency market update now. So this ends it for the AM News, the first part of the AM show. You want to stay with us because News Review comes up next. And Dr. Sharif Ahmed Khalid, he's Associate Professor of Accounting and Finance, as well as Enoch Afuakwa Esquire, NPP Communications Team member, joining us for the News Review segment. We'll be right back.